Tens of thousands of faculty and staff, serve over 225,000 students. Research consistently shows that CUNY schools are amongst the best at moving low and moderate income families up the socioeconomic ladder. Since fiscal year 2021, funding for CUNY has been cut approximately, CUNY community colleges have been cut approximately $95 million. We've lost over 400 positions, impacting everything from academic advising to maintenance and operations. So, how would you approach funding at CUNY? And beyond restoring these cuts, what is your vision for the future of the university?
Last night on New York One, it's on our site. You go to blakefornyc.com and under my vision, you'll see that there. First and foremost, not only restorative in terms of funding, but reimagining what needs to happen. I grew up on University in Burnside, so I saw Cross Community College across the street from me all the time, and all was happening across our city. I believe we should go back to how it used to be and go and further. That every kid who graduates from a New York City school should be about opportunity to go to CUNY automatically. And you should have an opportunity to make sure that not only is free, but it's more expanded. I do believe we should go a step further and making sure we have an expanded My Brother's Keeper program and a My Sister's Keeper program, which I was the lead on that. I led that effort in the assembly. We're still the only state in the country to be able to do that. Because when you do that, it transforms the lives of everyone in our community, especially our communities of color. We also, though, have to make sure to create the systems for success around CUNY. And so when you have students who are saying, I am struggling when it comes to working homelessness and or transportation, I think anyone who's going to a CUNY school should have the opportunity that we provide them with free transportation and ensure that we have nonprofit reimbursement to make sure that someone has a home as well. Because those are the dynamics that are the silent ones that people are not talking through. Fundamentally, we have to raise the wages so that we are treating our employees, our faculty, and the entire staff better and more supportive. All of these conditions change what's happening within our schools. So when we think about what CUNY can be and the reimagination of education, we have to create a system right now where we're training and mobilizing next global citizens. We are not doing that in our school system right now. We're effectively training kids and students to pass a test. We're actually not educating them to be global citizens.
The cuts that you speak of are just unacceptable. And they are from a mayor who had promised a very different vision for CUNY. And what CUNY deserves is to go back to being the crown jewel of public education. What it is today is in many ways a crumbling institution that is underfunded by both city and state. While I've been in the assembly, I have been proud to be a supporter, and a loud supporter at that, for the New Deal for CUNY, which would call for significant funding increases for CUNY to also get us back to the point where CUNY was free. But going beyond it just being free, to ensure that we don't have a system that is so reliant on adjunct labor and undercutting and underpaying faculty members at every single turn. I'm also proud to be the prime sponsor of legislation that we introduced called the Repair Act. This is legislation that would repeal Columbia and NYU's property tax exemptions, over $320 million a year they do not pay in property taxes, and route that money directly to CUNY. Now, to be clear, that is money that should be supplementing what CUNY should already be receiving, not supplanting it. And as someone who is attacked by the New York Post on a regular basis, I am proud to say this is an area of bipartisan agreement. The New York Post wrote an editorial endorsing my legislation. Now, they hate Columbia and NYU for different reasons. We don't need to ask why, because what we need to do is build the coalitions that become undeniable to deliver the funding that working class New Yorkers have been denied for too many years.
My vision for CUNY is one that is free. That's what every single mayor should be working towards, and we should get as close to it as possible. The cuts that have been made to CUNY as of late not only impact staff, but our CUNY buildings are actually in desperate need of capital funding. And that is where the city should be playing a very huge role. Whether it's the bathrooms, the classrooms, the common areas, making sure that our youth have a dignified place to learn and that our professors have a dignified place to teach is critical to us really developing the next generations of leadership. In order to achieve much of what we need to do right now, where we have shortages in nurses, we have shortages of doctors, we have shortages of mental health professionals, we have shortages of firefighters, of police officers, of so many other titles that are essential to keeping each other safe. that we need to make sure we're building those pipelines through CUNY. So I was very heartened to see that Governor Hochul in her State of the State acknowledged that a lot of these jobs, training for a lot of these jobs should happen through public education and should be free to the student. That is something that I fully support, but especially the city needs to stand up in creating that pipeline to mental health services, because human services are what's going to save New York City. We are on our way to build a care economy to supplement our service economy. This means that everyone from those who are home attendants to nurses to behavioral therapists, social workers, psychiatrists, you name it. That is the future of New York City's economy, and CUNY has to continue being a part of that, just like it's been for the past many decades, in being arm to arm with the labor movement in building a strong middle class in New York City. That is to be supported and completely unequivocal.